The sun dipped behind the western hills as Thomas Grady guided his horse toward home. It had been another long day of ranch work, one filled with silence and memories he'd rather forget. His wife had passed 2 winters ago, and since then, his ranch felt more like a prison of echoes than a place of life. But that evening, something caught his eye, a flicker of movement by the riverbank. As he drew closer, he saw them, a woman and 5 children huddled together under a tattered blanket, shivering in the cold. The oldest boy, no more than 12, tried to stand in front of his siblings, his small hands clenched like a soldier. The woman's face was pale, and her arm was bound in a blood-stained cloth. Thomas dismounted and approached slowly. "You folks all right?" he asked. The boy didn't answer, only tightened his stance. The woman finally whispered, "We haven't eaten in 2 days. Please." The children, her voice broke before she could finish. Without hesitation, Thomas lifted the youngest child into his arms and motioned for them to follow. Back at the ranch, he lit the fireplace, set out what food he had, and let them eat until they could no more. The woman introduced herself as Clara, a widow from the nearby town. Her husband had died in a mining accident, and when the landlord threw them out, they'd wandered for miles searching for help. Thomas, who had thought his heart had turned to stone, found himself watching her care for her children with a strength that humbled him. Days turned into weeks. Clara helped around the ranch, mending clothes, tending the garden, and teaching the children to read by the firelight. Her children laughed again, something Thomas hadn't heard in his house since his wife's passing. He found joy in the simple things, the youngest drawing pictures in the dust, the oldest helping him fix fences, the sound of Clara humming while baking bread. The cold walls of the ranch slowly filled with warmth and life once more. But one evening, trouble arrived. A group of men from town rode up, claiming Thomas was harboring squatters who owed money. The leader sneered, "Those aren't your problem, Grady. Send them out." Thomas stepped forward, his voice firm. "They're under my roof. My problem now." The men spat curses but backed off when they saw his hand resting on his rifle. For the first time in years, Thomas felt a purpose worth defending. Winter came harsh and bitter, but together they endured. The children helped with chores, Clara managed the household, and Thomas found himself smiling more than he ever thought possible. One snowy night, as they sat around the fire, Clara said softly, "You saved us, Mr. Grady." He looked at her and replied, "No, ma'am. You all saved me." By spring, Thomas had built an extra room onto the house and planted new crops with the help of his newfound family. What began as an act of kindness turned into something far greater, a home rebuilt, hearts mended, and a life changed forever.